welcome back. We've been talking about what books of the Bible are about, and today we're going to talk about what the Book of Ruth is about. The Book of Ruth is about God's plan for redemption. What's amazing to me about the Book of Ruth is that there's so much happening in the world at this time. At the time that Ruth is written, Egypt is going through a civil war. The Shang dynasty is flourishing in China. The Phoenicians are developing an alphabet. And the nation of Israel is imploding due to their cycle of sin and rebellion against God. And God decides to zero in on one family of four living in the little town of Bethlehem, where a dad decides that he's going to leave home because there's a famine, and he dies, as well as his two sons, which leaves the wife, Naomi, and the two daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth. And what are they going to do? Naomi tells the girls to go home. Orpah goes back to her family. Ruth decides that she's going to stay with Naomi, and they go back to Bethlehem. And that's where kind of the story picks up, is she comes back, Naomi does, and she has nothing. Ruth is working the field, which is kind of like the Old Testament form of welfare. If you owned a field, you could only go through it one time, and you had to leave some left on the vine for the poor, and which is a passage out of Leviticus. And at that time, Ruth meets a man named Boaz, who happens to be a relative of Naomi. In Hebrew, the term is Goel, which means kinsman redeemer. And so the property that they had been sold when Abimelech, who was which was her husband's name, when they had left to go to Moab, which was outside of Israel during the famine. But nothing in Israel could be sold permanently. You could only sell things up until what was called the Year of Jubilee, and then all debts were canceled and everything reverted back to its original owner, and that's out of Leviticus 25. And so in the case of Naomi, they had sold their land to take the trip to Moab. They come back, but they don't have the money to redeem it. So in Ruth chapter 3, Ruth asks Boaz to be her kinsman redeemer and to redeem the land. But there's this other thing, and that is that if your husband dies and he doesn't have children, then the brother has to fulfill the duty of the husband, and so that the brother would have still his lineage. And once again, that's out of the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25. And so that way, the brother who had died, his lineage, his name would continue and be perpetuated in Israel. And so what happens is that Boaz says yes. There is someone else who is a closer relative. That all kind of gets worked out. And anyway, he ends up marrying Ruth, and it's just this beautiful thing that takes place. And what's amazing is that this scene in this small family ends up being in the line of King David, and ultimately in the line of the Messiah. This story is why Jesus was born in Bethlehem. But there's something else that I want you to note, and this is maybe the graduate level understanding of this, and that is in Revelation chapter 5, it says this. It says, "And I saw in the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll written inside and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. Then I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who was worthy to open the scroll and loose its seals? No one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scrolls or look at it. So I wept much, because no one was found worthy to open and read the scroll, look at it. But one of the elders said to me, 'Do not weep. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has prevailed to open the scroll and loose the seals.'" Now, what is this scroll? This scroll is essentially the title deed to planet Earth, and it has been in the wrong hands for far too long. The original title deed's owner was God, who gave it to Adam when he was going to care for the earth back in Genesis chapter 2. But he gave up the stewardship of the earth, and he handed it over to Satan for a piece of fruit. Talk about a lemon deal. And when Adam sins, he hands over the title deed to the world. And the world that you and I live in is under Satan's control. And you think, well, that can't be right. Well, listen to what 1 John says. "We all know we are the children of God, and that the whole world is under the control of the evil one." Yes, the world that we live in is God's world that he's created, but is being ruled by the devil. That's why there's pain and death and disease and suffering. It's what his world brings. And so remember when Satan tempted Jesus, and he said, hey, take the stone, turn it to bread, jump off the roof of the temple. He said no, but then Satan gave Jesus one more test, and he says this, again, the devil took him to an exceedingly high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory, and said to him, all these things I will give to you if you will fall down and worship me. And then Jesus said to him, away with you, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. So why does Satan offer that? Because it was his to offer. It's his world because of Adam's sin. And that's why Jesus came as a man, to die as a man, to then be resurrected as a man, to take the scrolls and loose the seals, because he is our kinsman redeemer. The story of Ruth is one of my absolute favorites in all the Bible, and I hope that you will take the time to read this little 4-chapter book that I believe is going to bless you. So hope you enjoy it. Until then, keep reading.